I think we're the takeaway piece is big, much more than we had a year ago. Kind of where we are as a whole team, ranked pretty high in the league as far as the turnover differential. I think we've been better in the red zone because it comes down. Really, it's points and takeaways, and I think those are two areas where we have improved. And I think if we can, get some of the other things, headed the right direction or just cleaned up, we have a chance to be pretty good.
What makes you think you can be at what you want to be stopping the run? You talked about 10 out of the 11 will do the right thing, and that sometimes leads to the explosive. What gives you confidence that you can get that to where it needs to be?
One, I mean, first it starts with the coaching staff. Very confident in those guys. I mean, when we watch it, we have a good understanding of the why, and making sure that we're teachers first and foremost, and that we're getting our players, that we don't have repeat offenders in the room. If they make a certain mistake, like in the run, spinning out of a block, which is a big no-no. You always want to keep your fit squared up to the ball. Just things like that. Guys aren't repeating the same mistakes that we've made. And part of it too is just learning who we are, growing as a unit. I mean, each year, especially with the rookies and the free agents that we have this year, we're very different than what we were a year ago. And it's still even 10 games in, I still think we're a little bit in the dark as far as truly like who we are. I think the week off has really helped me as far as stepping back and getting a sense for to hone that down a little bit. But no, I feel good moving forward because I know we have the men in the room that can do it. We're capable of it. We've showed we're capable of it. But it's just as I said earlier, it's all about consistency. Focusing for the full 60 minutes, not having those handful of lapses that turn into big plays.
Did you attempt to play Campbell 42 snaps, or is he, you get him on the field and you start to feel how reliable?
Yeah, that wasn't the plan. I think part of it was we felt we wanted to see if we were defending the run okay in with some of the lighter spacing and some of the smaller groupings we were in. And we got hurt with a couple passes and felt that we wanted to go with that grouping where we had him on the field. And then his play count was okay until you get to that last drive. So you're never planning on ending the game with a 20 play drive. So he almost doubled his snaps right there at the end. So, but he was a guy we knew he was ready. We knew he was capable. We wouldn't have had him out there if we didn't think he was capable of it. And just having another week of practice and doing what we're doing, I think he'll be a week better.
Mike asked various impression about Kyler, and specifically that last play against Carolina, where he doesn't get any statistical credit, but definitely helps make that play. They both had some really good things to say about him, but he can kind of fly under the radar maybe with us. But how do you think your guys see him, and what does he mean to your defense?
He means a lot. I mean, he's as you guys probably didn't take you long to realize, he's a man of very few words, and he's that it takes him a while to kind of get going too with us. So, but he's everything you want when you're looking for in a guy in your room. I mean, he's smart, he's tough, he studies the game. He has real good interaction just with his teammates and with coaches as far as what's the opponent doing. And it's unfortunate this year he hasn't had the production that he had a year ago, and he's had some really good rushes and some close calls, and some of it is guys were getting there just a click before he got there. So it's kind of like with Kenny too. Kenny's playing very well. Kenny's playing at an extremely high level. So is Kyler. They're filling the grade sheet with pluses. It's just that production's not there. And I know it can be frustrating, but that's what we ask our guys to do. Do your job, and that stuff will come. And it's not I could see where it would be some guys, given his circumstances, where it would be upsetting, and he's handled it great.
Mike, there's not many people that have your perspective when it comes to Matt and Shanahan, with Shanahan having worked for you and now you're working around. What do you see? Are there similarities, differences that you see in those two guys? And I mean, they're obviously two of the cutting-edge offensive minds in this league, so what have been your observations as a defensive guy being around both of them?
Yeah, just the way they see defenses and how quickly they can diagnose and have an understanding of what hurts that defense. Like they see that quick, and we've had some great football conversations as we've gone through, watched some of our tape together. Just how in depth his knowledge is about defensive football. Where I've been around a lot of coaches where it's all just about drawing plays and they don't really have a good sense of what they're attacking, whereas they are both so detailed and everything they do is they know what they're taking advantage of, and that's why a lot of the plays are packaged that they give that they always have an answer. It's very rare that they'll come up to the line of scrimmage and if you line up in a certain look, they know that this play is probably not going to work. They have the way the system's built is that there are ways to either change plays or know right where to go with the ball versus certain looks to. It's all the same defensively. It's all about minimizing the chances of a bad play, and I think they're both, as you said, they're at the top of the profession as far as the ability to do that.
When the 49ers really get their misdirection going, sometimes the execution is the best of the league, and it tends to seem to freeze a defense, freeze linebackers. Then the Seattle game, and Clowney just, he was on a mission to get to the quarterback. I mean, is that a solution to going against this offense?
Well, it starts with the eye discipline. The guys have to know with each call, hey, how do I get lined up and what am I looking at? They can't let the motions and the shifts and then what happens post snap. They can't let that affect their job, and that's where teams give up big plays against them. One, they're not ready. They'll get up on the ball and go. They're real good at changing their tempo, whether it's no huddle or just getting on the ball quick or get on the ball and then they don't snap it real quick, but they mix it all, which is obviously a challenge. But I don't think you can play just one or two things against this style of offense. I don't think you can sit back because it's, as I just talked about. I mean, if they have a pretty good feel of what you're in, you're going to get carved up. And then on the flip side of it, you can't be at the other end where you say, hey, listen, we're just going to attack this offense. You'll make some plays, but you're going to give a bunch up too. So I think you have to be calculated with it. It's got to be a healthy mix. Know when to do it and when not to. And then that's all part of the chess game.
What's the challenge with Kittle, and then you find the answers against tight ends during your week?
Yeah, I mean Kittle's. I see him. I think he's in the conversation certainly one of the best, if not the best tight end in football. He's a more than adequate, more than willing blocker, and this is a guy that has borderline wide receiver type speed. He's got great ball skills, difficult to tackle. He breaks a lot of tackles. He's violent after the catch. He's got a good relationship with the quarterback, and on top of that, a coordinator that knows, that guy put the offense together that can get him open. So, no, it's as big a tight end challenge as we'll have, and that's something it's been well documented. We need to be better.
Mike, did Arizona sell out to stop their run and force them to pass? Is that why they did?
I wouldn't say they sold out. I mean, they were aggressive. They did load up, and there were some high risk calls that they made that worked out for them. And other teams have tried to do the same thing and got burnt. So sometimes it's I don't want to say it's luck, but they pushed the envelope as far as how aggressive they were, and it worked out for them. Especially when you look at the start of the game that San Fran had a bunch of 3 and outs, and then they then hit them with a couple screen passes, and then it was kind of off to the races after that. But no, they certainly did a good job. But they were definitely a lot of guys down close to the ball, very aggressive.
right. So there we had Mike Pettin, and yeah, he had a lot of great points though. I don't know if you heard any of that or
Oh, I've already watched it earlier, and one of
I
my
like
favorite things
how
is he doesn't go by stats. He likes to see off tape.
yes, I was gonna just get to that. I noticed that he said that and iterated that several times, and I like the part where he's talking about, and I think a lot of this press conference, the way he talked, you could tell that they did spend time self-scouting, just in the way he talked. And I think one of the things that I think I want to emphasize, because it goes back to part of the early season and off-season narrative, and still at points when they aren't doing well, this gets brought back up, of how football intelligent, not just offensively, but overall football intelligent Matt LaFleur and the rest of this offensive staff are. But he specifically wanted to talk about Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan. That these guys just aren't drawing up plays to draw up plays. Their football intelligence is understanding also what a defense wants to do or is doing, and finding a weakness in each specific defense and figuring out different ways to attack that same weakness. Again, I want to say different ways to attack that same weakness, because most defenses only have one or two weaknesses.
Yeah.
And usually they know what they are, and they're kind of cool with it, because usually the weakness derives from a personnel deficiency or just the way the scheme, like if you zone blitz a lot, one of your weaknesses is if you don't get home, there's huge holes in those zones, voids where you bring blitzers, right? Like, that's a weakness. So it was just interesting to me about how he talked about the football intelligence beyond just drawing up plays of Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan. That I think I wanted to iterate the most, because that's what I don't think that's talked about enough, because of how little actual upper echelon coaching positions, how long LaFleur had. Again, what I mean by upper echelon, LaFleur has been on an offensive staff in some capacity for about 10 years plus, okay, in the NFL.
Ever
But
since
he's
Washington, when he first came under Kyle.
But he's only been in a prominent position, and which means I would say quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, assistant head coach. Those are the prominent positions, I would say, on an offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's had 2 years or a year and a half of that. So yeah, I hit the play button.
Way to go. God.
Anything else you want to add there, bud?
My thing is, between the whole coaching staff, not just like it's offense or defense, through the whole thing. I mean, I know we're not in the locker room, but what we're getting from the coaches is there's communication. Like if an offensive coach has an idea he wants to bounce off a Pettin or a position coach for the defense, they do it. There's no separation like other teams. Like this coaching staff needs to stick with this squad, and that coaching staff. It's not that they're not overcharge of them in Green Bay. It's the fact that like there's communication across the board. That's huge, because if you can get everybody on the same page, not just players, the coaches, the towel boys, the GM, everyone across the board buy into the same philosophy, the same mentality, it's going to be special. And we're seeing it, folks.
You got anything else you want to talk about from the two guys we heard talk? Any points other before we take a break and then get to our keys to victory for the defense and offense?
I wanted to go ahead and point out for Aaron Jones, I forgot to mention earlier, that the reason why he's so humble and so quiet, he doesn't talk a lot, is because of his parents. They're both military.